Hello there. Now before we traipse into this topic, we should clear the air and say that this particular subject of automatic writing is a skeptic's dream, so don't expect to find much mainstream support for this particular topic in art form. Automatic writing is essentially writing that is produced from a spiritual, supernatural, or subconscious force, as opposed to the conscious intention of the writer themselves. It's an ancient occult practice. Way back in the day, psychics used to, say, allow entities or ghosts to take over their hand and write through them. So you could see automatic writing as the art form of allowing things to be written through you instead of you deciding to write something. Perhaps you're familiar with channeling. Essentially, what channelers do is they allow the frequency of another being or another stream of consciousness to come through their physical expression. It works a little bit like a radio channel and a radio dial. You can understand that there is a radio tower that is broadcasting a specific signal. To receive that signal, say you're sitting in your car, you turn your radio to a certain channel and then you receive that signal. It comes through the speakers so you can hear that particular music or the information being broadcast at that particular signal. People can receive channels like that, only there are specific streams of consciousness within the quantum field, and when they disidentify with themselves, those streams of consciousness can then speak through them or write through them. Some examples of famous channels you may know today are Bashar, Elaine Smith, Neil Donald Walsh, Ramtha, Abraham Hicks, Theo, and Seth. Automatic writing is the written form of channeling. And even though some people are particularly clear channels whose own thoughts do not interfere with the signal of another being's stream of consciousness, all people are technically channels who can learn the art of automatic writing. And it's one of the most therapeutic tools to access and become aware of your own subconscious mind. Step 1. Sit somewhere completely free from distractions. I want this to be somewhere where you can feel the tension inside of you release. I also want you to begin by using the hand you don't usually write with. Your neural pathways are essentially set up in congruence with the hand you usually write with. And those neural pathways act as filters for any non-physical consciousness to be filtered through. We don't want any of that filtering process to occur through the process of channeling or accessing the subconscious mind. So I want you to use the hand you don't usually write with. Get a paper, get a pencil or a pen. When you get more skilled at automatic writing, it will no longer matter which hand you use. Okay. 2. Adopt a position which makes you feel the most relaxed, almost the most free. Some people, most of them in fact, prefer to be in a slightly reclined position with their paper on their lap. Try that position. If it doesn't work for you, go ahead and mess with it if you want to. The point is, you want to make your body sort of like an instrument that allows energy to move through it as freely as possible. So I want you to go through your body in a body scan, starting at the top of your head, ending at the bottom of your toes, and deliberately relax each muscle within your body. So that if I was to take water in a water pitcher and pour it through your crown chakra, it would flow unrestricted through your body in a fast motion without any blockages. Many people actually prefer to do a channeling process completely naked, so leave that option open to yourself as well. 3. Put your pen to the paper and consciously intend and decide to let go completely. You want to let go of control. You want to let go of inhibition. Just give it away, knowing that you can gain it back anytime you wish, or you can stop the exercise. But it will actually feel good to completely let go. Let go also of thoughts. If you need to meditate for however long it takes to clear the mind chatter, in other words, for the gaps between the thoughts to be wide enough that you feel a kind of inner spaciousness, go ahead and do so. Do not think about the process of automatic writing. You simply want to allow your pen to begin to move. You want to let anything come through the pen that wants to come through, no matter if it makes sense or not. It doesn't need to make sense. Don't interpret what is being written. You can do that later. Now, it must be said that it's normal for the mind to butt in and try to take control, but if it does this, simply stop writing and consciously let go of control again, just like you did at the beginning of the exercise. You can either do this with your eyes open or closed, and you have to note that automatic writing can come in the form of doodles, pictures, symbols, or words. 4. Allow your pen to move for as long as it wants to move, until you feel like the session has ended. And after the session has ended, you can feel free to look at the byproduct and begin to interpret what has come out of that particular channeling session. 5. I want you to become familiar enough with this particular process of just channeling in general before you try to channel anything specific or any specific being or stream of consciousness. However, once you feel like you're ready to do this, you go on to the next step. 6. You have a decision to make. Either you can open up to whoever or whatever wants to come through you at this particular time, or you can decide to specifically tap into and receive the signal of a specific stream of consciousness, someone you really want to communicate with. Some examples of streams of consciousness you could try to allow to communicate through you are your higher self, your shadow self, otherwise known as your subconscious, your child self, someone else's child self, someone else's conscious mind, someone else's subconscious mind, someone else's higher self, an extraterrestrial being, perhaps your spirit guides, your soul family, Jesus, the ascended masters as a group consciousness, the Buddha, maybe a specific ghost in your house, or a deceased loved one. Keep in mind that some are much more eager to be channeled than others. 6. Tap into their energy. What I want you to do is to fully receive them as if you can feel yourself and your identity dissolving into theirs. This is the conscious willingness to get rid of your ego. Breathe them through you and repeat the process described earlier, except this time with the conscious invitation for this specific energy to come through you. Imagine or sense or feel the stream of consciousness literally flowing through you as if it was a literal stream cascading through you and through your hand. Then, you can either let the information that wants to come through this particular channel flow completely without asking questions, or you can engage in a kind of dialogue whereby you ask questions or someone else asks questions to you, and you allow this being to answer through you, or this stream of consciousness to answer through you. Anytime you feel yourself listening to the answers and information, or wanting to take control back and answer how you want to answer instead of allowing the information to come through completely separate of attachment to what is said, simply stop and consciously let go of control again. It will feel similar to the feeling of swimming upstream in a river and then suddenly letting go and allowing the current to take you completely limp and with no resistance whatsoever. Again, I want you to engage in this particular automatic writing session for as long as the information wants to flow through you. You will get a sense for when there's a kind of completion. And when that occurs, feel free to come back to the room. But this time, because you have let go of your identity, you need to remind yourself of your identity. So this is the time to repeat to yourself who you are, what year it is, what is going on, what's your name, that kind of information. That helps you get a firm grasp on where you are in your own, let's say, ego or sense of identity. After that, feel free to look back over what was said and interpret the message. It must be said that we are still subject to the law of attraction. What does that mean? It means that if your vibration is bogged down because of deep emotional wounding, you hold a vibration which could be a match to an entity that is also a low frequency type of an entity. This is usually what's happening when people are interacting with an entity that feels malevolent or when people allow possession. If this occurs, there is no need to slip into fear or panic. Just realize that this entity is reflecting an unhealed aspect of your being. If you're terrified of malevolent entities, you can watch my video on YouTube titled, Do Demons Exist? But the very fact that we attract like frequencies means one very important thing. If you plan on committing to being a channel of anything, you have to work to increase your frequency to a degree where you are receiving channels which are going to benefit you and benefit those around you. This means you have to increase your vibration. Dedicate yourself to becoming the clearest channel that you can be. Adhere to a purifying diet. activities that raise your personal frequency, meditation, and the practice of disidentification. For this reason, I want you to watch my videos on YouTube titled How to Raise Your Frequency and Increase Your Vibration, Is There a Spiritual Diet?, Disidentification, the Practice of Non-Attachment, and Meditation to Release Resistance and Allow. Remember that if at any point during this process you become uncomfortable, feel free to stop. You can lay automatic writing to the side, or you can resume with the assistance of a more seasoned, shall we say, or more experienced psychic, spiritual teacher, occult practitioner, or healer. Practice, practice, and more practice. As we've seen, certain things on Earth are great conductors of electricity. Electricity passes easily through those things. You, through the practice of automatic writing and channeling in general, will become more conductive, more and more able to allow spiritual energies, just like electric currents, to move through your being. The process will become more natural and effortless, and the writing will begin to sound less and less like you as your thinking mind gives way. You will eventually be able to step out of the way for information coming from the non-physical dimensions to come through you. It will be the most in-the-flow writing that you've ever done. In fact, many of the greatest artists in history are in fact channels, who do not create art or writing, but instead who allow the art to come through them. At the very least, automatic writing sparks some serious creativity. But it's okay to go ahead and smile, because what I've just done is given you permission to become your own personal Ouija board. Only this time, you can get much more than a simple yes or no answer. Have a good week.